They say the dead don't speak, but someone forgot to tell her that. I am Detective Drayk, and I've seen people fake a lot of things. Emotions, alibis, even entire lives. But faking your own death to inherit your spouse's insurance money, then slipping into a new identity and marrying again under the name of your dead cousin. That's a new level of sick genius. And that's exactly what I'm dealing with in the twisted shadows of southern Alabama. It started with a fire. A quiet farmhouse on the outskirts of Montgomery lit up like a funeral pyre. Inside what was left of a man named Robert Wexley, charred bones, wedding ring, half-melted watch. His wife, Lenora, survived. Not a scratch, just smoke in her lungs and a story too polished to be real. She told me she woke up coughing, ran outside for help, said she tried to go back in but the flames were too strong. Her tears seemed real, but they were too convenient, like a performance she'd rehearsed in front of the mirror. What tipped me off wasn't her grief, it was her silence. In most cases, the newly widowed talk. They overshare. They want someone to hear them. But Lenora, she stayed still. Her eyes scanned everything, even me. That's not mourning, that's control. The autopsy came back fast. Male, mid-40s, cause of death, smoke inhalation. But there was a problem. The dental records didn't match Robert Wexley. And the watch on his wrist, it stopped ticking 3 years ago, when it was last reported stolen in another state, Arkansas. So who was the man who burned? I drove down to the town where Lenora said Robert grew up, met with his so-called brother, who looked like he'd seen a ghost when I showed up with Robert's photo, claimed they hadn't spoken in years, but his hands were trembling and his coffee cup rattled like a warning bell. Then came the insurance. 2 policies, one local, one offshore, each filed within 48 hours of the fire. Lenora signed both, but the kicker, the witness signature on one of the forms, belonged to a woman named Carla Denton, a name that hadn't existed on paper in 15 years. Carla Denton was Lenora's cousin. She died in a boating accident in 2009, or so everyone thought, but I pulled the DMV photo. Same bone structure, same smile, same tattoo near the wrist, just a different haircut and a forged birth certificate. So now I'm chasing a woman who's playing 3 different roles: the widow, the cousin, and the ghost. This is where you come in. You've been riding shotgun with me long enough to know the devil's always in the details. So tell me, what's her next move? Do we dig into her marriages? Because yes, there's more than one. Or do we follow the offshore trail? See who helped her build these identities? Drop your thoughts below. Sharp minds attract sharp cases. And believe me, I read every single one. Back to Lenora. I confronted her in the park. Casual, no badge, no threat. Just a man with questions. She smiled like she already knew I'd show up. And then without blinking, she said something that still echoes in my head. You think truth is black and white, but some of us learned to survive in the gray. That's when I knew. She's not running from guilt. She's addicted to the con, the thrill, the transformation. But here's the thing about chameleons. They always leave a trail. Underneath all the colors, they're still just lizards. And I've stepped on enough of them to know how they move. We'll find the real Robert. We'll figure out who burned in that house. And we'll unmask every name Lenora's ever stolen. Because no matter how good you are at playing dead, I'm better at digging up ghosts. And if you've made it this far without faking your own identity, you're probably smart enough to do the one thing every good detective does after a breakthrough: secure the scene. And in this case, that means tapping that like button like you're dusting for prints, and subscribing like you're planting a wiretap in the suspect's phone. Trust me, it's cleaner than a confession and way more satisfying. Cases like this, they don't end with a bang. They fade out, slow and eerie, because sometimes the scariest monsters don't hide in the dark. They host dinner parties, smile for photos, and change their names like clothes. And if you think you've met one, you probably have.